Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tender. It is Thursday, July 18th, 2024. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go through SPY on multiple time frames. We'll take a quick look at QQQ on the daily time frame, and then we'll go around the horn on the 65 for the IWM, the Qs. And at the end, I think we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin by request. And if we have enough time, I also would like to do a video on Novo at a request for that pharmaceutical as well. So I believe it's NVO ticker. So we'll try to get through this pretty quick. If you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Options 10 logo and subscribe. And go ahead and speed this video up and going to the settings if you're not interested in hearing details. If you just want to see what I think where this goes, and you just don't have time to sit back and watch a 25-minute video, then speed it up a little bit. That's what I do with all my videos now, so I can get a lot more information, less time. Okay, so we're going to start off on SPY in the monthly. By the way, we're doing this intraday. If you're a supporter, you're going to get this. It's 99 cents. You're going to get this intraday. And then for the public, it comes out at 4 p.m. Monthly time frame, we have 2000 top, 2021 top, and we're at that trend line here. So things are working out exactly how we've been talking about. We're starting to get a doji. The month is not over. We're starting to get a reversal doji off of this major trend line. That's what we're looking for at the close of this month, looking for some sort of doji. So we might be looking for a bounce today, but bounces will be sold into, in my opinion. And I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'm trying to find if this is an impulse move to the downside and we continue, or if this is corrective. So you'll have some options here, no pun intended. And I'll show you some indicators as well. So here, let's move down to the weekly time frame. Going to the weekly, we have a couple boards we'll look at. Here's the traditional technical analysis. Here's our trend line here. From 2000, we're well above it on this time frame, and then we have our channel that price was trying to break out of. Top here, top, throw over. There's multiple touches here. This price is trying to go up, but it's getting rejected now. Now we have a tweezer top here for the week. Maybe that's how the week ends. Not sure. We have one more day. Even if you get some sort of doji on this red candle, maybe price moves up a little bit. Still considered a tweezer top. I know that you could call this cloud cover. Doesn't matter what the names are. We're getting kind of a double top here, and we're rejecting off of the top of this channel. Now we're in a bullish posture on the monthly and the weekly time frame. Even though we have negative divergences, those time frames have not changed. They have not flipped. We're still in a bullish trend, but clearly we're against resistance here. So here's another look at this. From this 2020 to 2021, 21 to 22 top here, this recession, as people are saying, this correction, from the top to bottom there, we have our retracements to the 127, had problems getting over at that point. Held that the trend to the upside, so that was a good spot to go long, and then got above and stayed above after retesting this 127 retracement. Now the next target is the 162. Those are the two major retracements off of a correction that we look for. There are some in between, and you'll see those on different time frames. But hit the first major, now the last major, and we're getting a real good rejection off of it. So that's super important here. And then we have some time factors coming into 721, 723. So right at the end of July, we'll be looking for some sort of time factor to kick in with price. And so from the looks of it so far, price should be down at some point. So maybe we come back to test the 20 moving average or even spike through it. But holding it this time, I'm not sure it's going to be the same process here, but we should get a reaction, maybe a bounce off of it. So in my eyes, there's a good possibility that we'll have lower prices going into these time frames, and we have FOMC at 7:31 as well. So do I think it's going to come all the way down here to the 515? It very well could. You know, price, once it rejects and starts losing levels, there's usually an acceleration, very similar to, you know, the upside. When you start off, you start off with a waning momentum, you're getting change in trend, and then you create this market structure. And we'll talk about the market structure on lower time frames if we've changed anything yet. And once that happens, then price starts to accelerate it, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. And we're just now in the beginning of a reversal here on the weekly time frame. So let's go ahead and take a look at the daily. Daily trend is our friend. First, the traditional technical analysis. You had our wedge filling out, a throw over that wedge. It's a fake break. We got underneath and accelerated down to the 20 simple moving average. So our trend technically on the daily time frame, this is not the same for the Qs. Qs have broken that. We're still technically in an uptrend. All right, but we're getting a reaction off the 20 simple. If we continue lower, we're probably not going to have that same kind of reaction off of it. But for now, looking something like this. Now, the one thing that we're really looking for is this an impulse move? Or is this a three-wave move? Now, whether you're bull or bear, I think eventually we're going to get a bounce. And when that bounce goes, whether it's a three-wave or an impulse, I think we have time for another move to the downside. So if you're bullish and you think we go higher, that could be easily an A, a B for the bounce, and a C. So no matter what, we're still above this trend line. That's a possible scenario to where we get one more high if there's a three-wave correction. So that's where we're going to keep our eye out to see on the 65-minute. But for now, we have our rejection. I'm not sure if this impulse is complete yet. Maybe we gap down tomorrow. Let's wait and see. But looking still at the bigger picture, we have the ending diagonal that I believe is complete. And we're coming into some time factors. The 16th here was the top. Take that out there. We have the 21st, again, 24th. That matches perfectly with the weekly time factors in the end of the month. And also 7, 29, and 30. So, you know, with price coming down here, maybe we get some sort of low, get a bounce, and then we'll just have to play it. We'll have to see, because I'm just not sure that this correction is over yet. Let's look at one more board. So we have next week that we'll be looking at some of these first time factors, and it doesn't take much. Maybe we get a short-term bottom at the 21st. Next week, we get our significant bounce into the 24th. And then come down like a wrecking ball into the latter parts of the month, into FOMC. FOMC could accelerate the price and look for lows into beginning of August. So that there's multiple ways that this could play out. It's not going to be clear. We are underneath that 8 EMA. Just want to point that out. So maybe we start to squeeze between the 20 and the 8. I like to continue to look at this board. We used this for so many months, so long, and it just played out perfect. You had to throw over at the end here right into our our long-term resistance, and I believe over time this is going to play out, and that we're going to be testing these bottoms here. Okay, I do think that's going to go further, but this will probably be a major support later on. Let's go to the 65. First, let's take a look at the Qs while we're on the daily, and just show you to see why we're getting a real good reaction here. So we had the rising wedge starting from this top here and connecting here. We got above it, held onto it, and we're reacting off of it right now. So that's our support there. We're underneath the falling 8 EMA, so our momentum's to the downside, and we lost trend. So also the 20 is starting to curl over there. If we do get a bounce from this point, I would think this is going to be more of a neckline, and then this gets a bounce into this gap area. I'm not sure it's going to close the gap completely, but could come into this gap area, maybe around 493. We'll look at some retracements into there, but it does appear that the Qs are a little bit in the short term oversold, but on the daily, I mean, we're just getting a crossover, you guys. This is going to play out. So very similar to over here. This is going to play out, and I think it's going to play out because we're at a top. It's going to play out a little bit more sharp. Okay, we had our divergences. They're starting to play out. We had a crossover bears. The histograms are expanding. We're just now getting into a oversold territory where it's turning green here. And the slow stoke just getting to there. So, you know, maybe we have a wave forward, just a little sideways bounce here, and we continue lower. Now, if the RSI resets itself, I mean, this thing could play out on the downside a lot more. But if it needs to bounce, maybe it goes back to the 50 and then heads lower at that point. But this is, the momentum is just now turning. There's plenty of space to move to the downside. So keep that in mind when if you're trying to play any bounces. Today, I scalped a little bounce there for a minute, and I had to close it out quick because price just dropped after there. So we could get a little bit of rotation as well. Now, maybe the Qs hold up for just a little bit, and IWM retreats. I'm short IWM, multiple accounts, and because I think it's just now getting a reversal, and we're getting a nice candle off of it. So maybe I'll just go over there and show you instead of just speaking about it. So we're just now on the daily time frame getting that reversal. We're coming into some minor support here, and if we break down there, that'd be a fake break. So, you know, you could get a bounce off of this area, but, you know, really this huge reversal, try to get back up there. So to me, this is some sort of 1-2 setup, and we'll show you on the lower time frame, and this should continue lower into a wave 3 if we're going to have an impulse to the downside. And if not, this is still an A, B, and we should have an impulse down for a C. So either way, we're looking for some downside. Let's go back to SPY on the 65. Okay, on the 65-minute board, traditional technical analysis, we had to make a new trend line after the throw over. We made a trend line in the, this could be considered a wedge in itself. So let me put that back on there. So if this is a channel that with these points being a good spot there, channel bottom coincides with the major trend line there too, so just keep that in mind. Now with the near term wedge, after the gap down, we broke through that wedge today, and we're getting a little bit of a bounce here at the options expected move. So that's when some big firms start hedging it. But at this point, we can't see in this gap area. So is there a 1, 2, and 3 inside This is the question we have to ask. And then this is wave 4, that meager bounce we had today, and into wave 5. Okay, so is this an impulse move that's already started? That's already finished? I'm not sure. We're not even into real support yet. You know, we have the options expected move where price could stay there for a minute, but we haven't even hit this volume node where this trade action has been. This has been straight up from 4th of July week. And we're into, we just got a little wick off of this area right here. You know, a little bit of price action, but really we should see at minimum maybe a gap down tomorrow, and then start to see a if this is an impulse right here, then start to see a pullback for a possible wave 2. And maybe that wave 2 goes into this time factor here. We have a time factor at 723, and then we start to drop afterwards. So what we're looking for is the impulse wave down, looking into support. We'll probably play a bounce into this, and then that's a back test of the wedge and start to break down much faster with more momentum. Now, here's the thing. The other, and I don't think this is the scenario. The other would be that this is a 1, 2. These are both the bear scenarios. If this is an impulse 1 and that was a tiny little 2, then price is in the middle of wave 3, and so this bounce shouldn't really go anywhere significant and should start to have a much bigger move to the downside after that. Now, I do understand that this could be a 1, 2. The 3 is, as long as it's not the shortest wave, that would invalidate it. So if this is a 1, 2, and 3 is done, then 4 and 5 should be really small at that point, and that would get us to at least to the top of this point here, and we can look for that bounce. So that would be, as long as we can count 5 waves in there, that would be considered an impulse wave. But right now we can't count it, and it looks awkward on ES and the futures. So we'll see what kind of bounce we get off of here. Like I said, if you're a bull though, and this is a 3-wave move, and then we have a retracement, and then another move down, that's still bullish in the sense that it's just a corrective pattern. Okay, and that means we go to new highs. All right, so that's the thinking about why does it matter about the structure? Because if it's an impulse, then we know that we have wave 2 coming, a wave 3 impulse, wave 4, and a wave 5 for larger move. If this is a major top there, and that would just be the initial move. All right, to much lower prices. So we're still in sell the rip, whether a bull or bear, we're in sell the rip. And momentum's to the downside on the 65. We're just now crossing into bearish territory, so you have to be careful, but we could be getting that little bit of a bounce because we're in oversold territory. So after this little bit of a bounce, maybe we go back to the 50, just like I mentioned before, and then we start getting our last moves before at any playable significant bounce. All right, going around the horn. The Qs, it's at the 200. Just so happens to be a confluence of the 200 moving average. Now this one, this does appear to be a 1, 2, and a 3. Okay, so this wave 3 still looks like it has some work to be done here. 1, 2, 1, 2 setup here. Wave 3, 4, 5, 4, and possibly a 5, just for a significant wave 4 to play out, and then another dump here would give us our impulse. This looks much more bearish. We'll be looking for maybe a test of this trend line here, and then some sort of sideways bounce, triangle, or a flat pattern, and then a last move down here. This should form a wedge, and we'll have bullish divergence eventually, and then we'll be looking for a significant bounce, probably to test this gap area up here. But it doesn't appear that this is ready for any significant bounce here. It's very incomplete. Even if you're looking for a 3-wave move to go to new highs, at this point, it's just the structure is not done. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that might be wave 3 right here. And we're getting some sort of miniature wave 4 to complete just this wave right here. And then that would go down possibly into this area. And then we have to play out this structure. And looking for a wave 4 and then a breakdown again. So sell the rip still in effect on this one. And going to IWM, this could be the actual leader to the downside just for a little bit. Because overall, I think the IWM is either finished with this move or it has a little bit of the structure to complete down here after this breakout. But it's just been a massive move. So, any back test of the breakout is very possible too. So for this move here, if it's complete, we're looking for a 1, 2, and we should have a significant wave 3, 4, and 5. So this should start playing impulse to the downside. Now, if it has higher to go, yes, it could have been done right here, but just such a massive move. This, I still think it's an A, B, and you should see an impulse 5-wave move, maybe into the options expected move to close this gap here. And that's all we're playing on the downside here, is just maybe a close of this gap. I'm using futures, so I'm not actually using, well, I do have some IWM in one of the accounts. So we'll see if we close this gap, and then perhaps price builds a structure to go higher. Anything could happen with IWM. It looks like, it could want higher targets. Not sure. We'll see how that goes. VIX. We are short DIA as well, so I can take a look at that. So VIX has had its breakout. It's a breakaway gap here, gapped again, and had a pullback, nice pullback before heading higher. Now we're above resistance, past resistance. Now it could be support. So again, we come into this support, consolidate a little bit, and maybe price action moves higher on the VIX. And we'll be looking for some, if we're looking on the, I'm looking at another screen in the daily time frame. If we have room to go for the downtrend line, let me just show you. So this is a nice move here. We're above resistance so far. If we wick back under it, maybe we get some sort of reversal candle. But I imagine holding over this 550 area, working its way into there after a nice move off to the 200. And then we possibly have up to the 18 zone, maybe just a little bit under. This is zone. It might even spike to 19 before getting reversal candle off of it. Very similar to what happened here. So it looks like we have some room to run before any major pullback. If we get up here, then I think we'll be looking for a low in the overall market, and we'll have a significant bounce while price pulls back. And then, it could pull back significantly, make a higher low while the market has a dead cat bounce. So that's how we look at it on the VIX. Now let's check out Bitcoin. Just on the daily time frame. Trend is our friend. All right, taking a look at this, there's a lot of busy stuff happening here. I was looking at this as more of a bull flag. With the market topping, I don't think that Bitcoin is looking very good here for a significant move. Now, we did get a bounce there, but what I'm kind of looking at is this it being an A, B, C into a larger A. So this is a great reaction off the 200 moving average. But really, we're just getting a bounce off of and back testing this broken trend line. And we're also kind of back underneath. I know this channel is not very good because of, have to redraw that because of the contract changes. But really, you know, if I put a little bit higher, we're just kind of back testing all this stuff here. We're over support at the 62 for now, 62,000. But this move here, we're getting a reaction off that trend line. And I have this marked as if we're going to a new high, but really all I want to do is put a retracement on here. And if we start getting above the 786 and holding above it, I think that's very bullish for this scenario, because we already had a correction off of this. So an ABC means that this is a very bullish move. So far, it looks like we only have a 3-wave move up. And that could be complete. We're rejecting off the 50% retracement, which is right into this zone, which is very valid. We're rejecting off the 50 moving average, and the 100 is right above. And in my opinion, this is a great sell point. You have a significant support, less resistance, support, resistance here. I think we're rejecting off of this point. I think this goes lower from this spot. But if you see price action get up to the 62, again, that's a really good spot to take a short off of. We start to get above the 62 and holding, that would be a place where you can start making some bullish plays there. Now, with this, it's really tough for me to say that this structure looks bullish at all. Even if you get this last move up here, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I wouldn't want to, I'd be looking for short anyway, because this would be an impulse move. And then some sort of retracement. And then I would say, hey, maybe you have a chance of some market structure here, forming a higher low. Right now, we only have a low and then a lower high at this point. So we need a higher low for any significant move to the upside. This just looks, like this is a correction from this entire move, a big correction at that. And we're rejecting off the very important golden zone here. So I would be very cautious on any Bitcoin plays, and coinciding with the market correcting as well. So that's what I got for Bitcoin. And this last one, Mark, this is for you. I texted him and I said, hey, this looks like a good candidate for a short. And unfortunately I didn't get this video out when I said I would yesterday, but it's already starting to come down. I think we're going to start getting a major correction here, but this might not be the spot to take that. So just a naked chart, look at this massive trend. So clearly this is bullish in the long run, but I think we have this last structure here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave done. So I think this at minimum, this structure has to correct. Okay. And it could be a major to where this entire thing is correcting. I don't have that, but looking on this monthly time frame, you see, look at that push down. We're already starting to weaken off the RSI, and we're getting a sell signal on the monthly time frame. So if you're holding this short for quite some time, maybe leaps or maybe duration plays, 90 days out or so, then I think this is a good play for you, a good swing to the downside. And the price action, probably the most significant area it has here is around the 60, around this volume node here. So that would be a good spot to really, really look to see if you want to take some price action off. And that's the 50 moving average. Yeah, it could definitely test the 200 or so. Looking at the weekly time frame, That's a big move down. It's you know, it looks to me like just a start. We're getting into this volume, so there's going to be a reaction off of there. So if you're looking for very short term puts or so, I don't think this is the spot to initiate a first move. But if you're looking for long term, I think this bad boy has room to run. So, but overall, it could be a bullish setup into years. Into years is kind of what I'm getting at. A couple years or so. And back to the daily. This trend, it looks like we have, if we get a trend line here, definitely broke the trend line right there. That's a sell signal. And it looks like a 1, 2, 3, and maybe possibly getting a reaction off of wave 4. So I think we could be testing this 200 before another bounce. It's possible, because we'd probably see that right around this low here, the 121, you'd see some around that volume node there, right where that cluster of volume ends. So that would be good for that low there. So if you're super short term, then you got, looks like about 7, 8 points to the downside. But if you're looking for another spot to get in, really, this might be a 1, 2, 3. You get a wave 4, and you get a wave 5 here, and you should see a significant bounce, meaning at least 50% back up into resistance, possibly. That would be a great place to initiate a put play or some sort of short on the market, on this market. That's what I got for you guys. Hope that helps. Consider becoming a supporter. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you in the next video.